All right, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. See, we have a couple of people live here. Hi, Evelyn. Hi, Shruti. My name's Erica, and we are meeting here today for about a 30-minute presentation on the power of play. So I already commend you for carving out some time from your workday to incorporate a little bit of, self-care, a little bit of levity in your day. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you, and we'll just dive right in. All right, so the power of play here, how to put more pleasure and relaxation into your life. So a little bit about me before we get started. I was in a previous lifetime, previous iteration, a high school English teacher in Chicago Public Schools for 7 years, kind of burnt myself out of that career. But that is what brought me to a consistent yoga and meditation practice. I have been in the wellness industry for about as long as I was a classroom teacher, for about 7, 8 years now, as a yoga and meditation teacher, as an Ayurvedic practitioner, which is traditional Indian medicine, as a holistic wellness coach. So yeah, in my own journey of trying to find work-life balance, play, creativity has been a really important aspect to my recovering perfectionism, to my recovering workaholism. So hopefully I can share some of the stuff that I found interesting in my research about play with you guys today. All right, so beginning with a quote here from Hara Estroff Morano. This was from kind of an old issue of Psychology Today, an article entitled "The Power of Play." So she says, how we play is related in myriad ways to our core sense of self. Play is an exercise in self-definition. It reveals what we choose. It reveals what we choose to do, not what we have to do. We not only play because we play the way we are, in the ways we could be. Play is our free connection to pure possibility, right? And I think we can draw already a lot of inferences about what play is and is not from this quote. Particularly, it's something that we choose to do. It's not something that's imposed upon us from some higher authority. It's not work, it's not family, it's something intrinsic that we enjoy and that enriches our lives and brings more openness, more possibility to it. All right, so kind of what is the definition of play here? Play is the state of mind where you are utterly absorbed in an activity, right? Sometimes, people refer to it as a flow state, like the flow state kind of overlaps with this spirit of play, though not quite the same thing, but it is an absorption in the activity that provides enjoyment and sometimes a suspension of the sense of time, right? So you can be doing something you really enjoy and not realize that a lot of time has passed, right? It is self-chosen, it is self-directed. Again, it's not imposed from you on the outside. It's often imaginative or creative. Again, there's that intrinsic versus extrinsic motivation. You're not doing it to get any money or any rewards or anything like that. And it's produced in an active, alert, not a distressed frame of mind, right? So it's nothing you do under duress. And play is a state of mind, right? We can see that two people could be, engaged in doing the exact same activity, but obviously the couple on the left are enjoying their time together on the golf course. Guy on the right, not so much, right? So it's less about the activities that you choose to do and more the mindset that you bring to it. And again, play is subjective. What might be playful to one person could be really annoying or distressful to another person. So really, it's about finding your kind of unique play style. Some other aspects of play here. Again, we say it's intrinsically, not extrinsically motivated. So it's really not a goal directed activity, but play often could have goals, but the pleasurable and engaging quality of them, of the activity, are more important than the outcome. Okay, players don't necessarily look for the easiest route to achieving the outcome. And then competition and play can coexist, right? We see this a lot in sports and other kind of group activities, board games and whatnot. um, I'm chuckling because I just had kind of a flashback of playing Monopoly with my father as a child, and I was like, "Well, can competition and play really coexist?" But it can if respect for the effort of the other competitors, the other people is maintained, and playing the game itself is deeply enjoyed, as well as just the winning or losing competitive aspect. Okay. So that's kind of the definition of play and play research. Why do we do it? And the answer is, in short, we're hardwired to play. It's part of our evolutionary development. Jaak Panksepp here, who's a prominent neuroscientist, has in his research identified 7 foundational brain circuits linked with primary emotions that we are born with. These are things like fear, care, panic, play. And these are primal emotions that are hardwired in our midbrain. A little diagram there, the circuits have been lit up. These are hardwired in our midbrain at birth, right? So it's not even the later developed like prefrontal neocortex, right, which is kind of dealing with more rational executive functioning stuff. It's like, it's archaic, it's ancient, it's like reptilian. We're programmed to have play built into our biology. Okay. Dr. Stuart Brown here, I have a quote from him. He actually created the play, like the Institute for Research on Play. So he, this is kind of his wheelhouse, his specialty. He says that the drive to play is as fundamental as our drives for food and sleep, right? So this should just, really show how impactful show how impactful play is in our lives, right? It's on par with these other basic things that we need to just maintain sustenance in our lives, food and sleep. We can even see this play out in the animal kingdom here. We have, this was part of his research as well, studying animal behavior. And we see this polar bear and these kind of like two dogs, 2 huskies, and they're chained up to a house. And the first couple of slides here, first couple of pictures, seems to be quite menacing, right? The polar bear seems to be obviously the larger predator, but as the slides progress, we see some play behavior, right? So there's kind of the playful swatting of the head, there's the playful biting of the scruff. Eventually, the polar bear even reclines in a pose of submission to the dog. So what initially might seem like a predator-prey relationship actually ends up being quite playful, given the proper cues and the proper circumstances. And again, this is hardwired in animals as well, not just humans. So what happens if we don't play? If that natural urge in us is suppressed. So again, this is part of Stuart Brown's research. After discovering an absence of play in this guy, Charles Whitman, who is one of the deadliest mass shooters in US history, Dr. Brown led teams that researched kind of other dangerous offenders in jails and sanitariums, men who were jailed for murder, drunk driving, other kind of heinous crimes. And in both cases, the research revealed that these subjects, these prisoners, these patients had all experienced a lack of play in their lives. Also, we see this kind of trending in education as well, and maybe just starting to see some of the ramifications of removing recess time or playtime from our elementary schools, right? So by the time children are in the classroom, they've kind of been taught to suppress their natural urge towards curiosity. Schools reinforce this when they eliminate recess and the arts education for more academic time. And Dr. Brown discovered that lack of play for children increases the prevalence of depression, poor adaptability to change. There's a lack of empathy, poor impulse control. They can also develop some addictive patterns and often act out in mood-driven or violent ways. Okay, so again, like play, not just hardwired, but it's also really important for our socio-emotional development. And we have kind of nine markers here of that kind of socio-emotional attunement. So, when your life is filled with play, you trust people, right? You experience life as a playground filled with chances to learn, as opposed to that proving ground or that competition where it's viewed more as a battle. You also become more flexible and resilient to life's circumstances, to change, which kind of is the only constant in life. So when your life is filled with play, change is viewed as something to be explored, to bring new possibilities in, versus creating fear and resistance to change in your life. Playful people are also more optimistic, right? There's a focus on well-being and pleasure is expected from life versus expecting discomfort and disappointment and being a bit of an Eeyore. Playful people are also better at problem solving, right? They're able to acknowledge problems and foster the skill development to solve them versus denying or hiding or trying to avoid conflict and problems. They're better able to emotionally regulate. So again, the stress is handled with resilience. They are more stable in life versus people who are play deprived. Their stress responses often manifest as anger or rage or withdraw, and they have a sense of a lack of self-efficacy. Playful people are more perseverant. Again, we're sensing this theme here of resilience. Motivation is sustained from the internal, and they seek mastery in life. Versus a play deprived person, the motivation dissipates. There's some procrastination, some apathy, some depression. Play filled people are also more empathetic. They're able to recognize other people's feelings, right? Especially if their play is of a more social nature. They offer support. They're able to receive support. People who don't play, again, aren't able to readily recognize people's emotions, and then discord occurs in their social interactions. Playful people are more open. They view life as vital and rich, and they have a strong sense of belonging that fosters social cooperation. Play deprived people, again, life is dull. There's nothing really to look forward to. It's all, all work, no play makes Jack a dull boy. And then finally, people who are playful find a deeper sense of belonging. Their behaviors tend to be more altruistic, leading to teamwork, community cooperation, and participation, versus people who are play deprived, as we saw with, the murderers and the criminals. Behaviors are callous, uncooperative, bullying, self-centered. Okay, so we have several different types of play. Maybe you prefer to move your body around in some capacity, right? Either maybe through an organized sport, or even just maybe yoga, meditation, or yoga, Tai Chi, things like that. That can also be considered your playtime, your free time. Maybe you are more into the tactile sense of manipulating objects. That could be something like, I don't know, a Rubik's Cube, other puzzles, jigsaw puzzles, board games, I think fall under that category as well. Play as well can also be imaginative, right? So you're it's make believe. You're creating something that doesn't actually exist in reality. It can be social. Especially in younger children, it can be rough and tumble, right? Often I think elementary, middle school teachers kind of and even parents discourage this type of play, but psychologists have proven that, that kind of physical, getting out that physical, it's not even aggression or anger, just like getting out that physical energy can be quite beneficial for children. So just because they're, being rough and tumble doesn't mean it's something to discourage. Play can also be quite celebratory or ritual. We see this with our holidays or birthday parties and whatnot. And then play can also be narrative, right? So that storytelling, that meaning making that is quite satisfactory mentally can also be a form of play. So in considering how to become more playful in your own life, right? So we talked about what play is, why it's important. Then like how do we actually become more playful? So you might want to consider taking some time to reflect and meditate on what your play personality is, right? So one or more of these kind of archetypes or personalities might appeal to you. Maybe you like to collect things. Maybe you do have that more competitive drive. Are you an artist or a creator? You want to make something out of nothing. Maybe you are more of a director or like a party planner of sorts. You like to host and bring people together. That's kind of a director role. You might be more of an explorer, right? Going out there in nature and discovering what's out there. Maybe you lean towards humor, you're the joker. Again, there's that kinesthetic movement aspect. Or yeah, maybe you are more of the storyteller, the bard, if you will. So reflecting on your play personality is one way to be more playful. And then also, so another couple of tips here. You want to make friends with your inner critic. I feel like oftentimes we are hesitant to let our playful sides out because we fear that we'll be viewed as foolish or we'll be judged by other people for not being mature or responsible. And again, there's that inner voice that judges our self for wanting to do something that is just for ourselves. We have so many responsibilities that is often we often think it's selfish to want to have fun or to carve out time for self-care, but it really is super important. We often in yoga have this metaphor like, when the plane's going down, God forbid, you put on your own mask first before you help others. Same thing here. We have to make time for self-care and make time for play because that's what fills us up, right? And we're not going to be able to show up as our best selves and as good partners, as good parents, as good friends if we aren't filling our own cups first. Okay, so make friends with your inner critic, tame down that voice. Meditation, again, is a really helpful tool to do that. Also, in our age of social media, when it's like, if I didn't post it on the gram, did it really happen? I recommend doing something just for yourself without sharing it, without posting it on social, without even necessarily telling anyone else, in real life, in person, that you've done it. It's just for you. Also, I recommend, it sounds a little counterintuitive, but scheduling spontaneity. You have time blocked out on your schedule where other people can't, impede on your time. It's blocked. But in that time, in that container, you give yourself permission to do something spontaneous. Okay. But you got to schedule it because I often say you're not going to find time. You're not going to find more time. You have to make the time. And that is a matter of priorities, right? And setting boundaries. Now, if you do have problems with setting boundaries, I do recommend, working with a therapist, working with a coach so that someone is there to encourage you and to keep you accountable for this type of stuff. And then again, meditation can help here. Stop ruminating, stop worrying, right? Often when we do have free time or spare time, what does the mind do? Well, the mind fills that vacuum with worrying about all the stuff that you should be doing or could be doing. So again, I highly recommend experimenting with the meditation practice. There's a ton of great apps out there. Insight Timer is one that I use. Headspace is a popular one. But these will be things that will help you make the space in your life that you can then start to prioritize things like self-care and play. Here on the slide, I just have some ideas that I threw out there on how you could be more playful in your life. So maybe you host a game night with your friends or fam, arrange nights out with your work colleagues, things like bowling, playing pool, miniature golf, all these things are super fun, think like what you would do on like a middle school date or something. Schedule time in a park or at a beach, right? Throw a frisbee around, fly a kite. Get being in nature in general is super nourishing and healing. So again, when the weather cooperates, get outside and play around. Pets and children, kind of naturally playful. So spending more time with your pets and children is a great technique, I guess, to be more playful. In general, just surrounding yourself with playful people. Like, who are your fun friends? Like, schedule time with them more, make more time for them. And if someone's a Debbie Downer, again, boundaries. Like, maybe you don't want to invite that energy into your life as much. You could also, again, playfulness is about connection in many ways. And especially post-pandemic, people are just starved. They're starved for connection and intimacy and playfulness. So, start to communicate with the people around you, the strangers at the bus stop, at the grocery store, crack a joke, give a compliment, just make eye contact and smile to someone. And that will invite people to be more open and playful with you. You could visit a magic store, a toy store. The like science museums are super fun. Learn some new tricks, learn some new information. You could take an impromptu trip. Girls weekend in Vegas, whatever. I don't know. This one is one of my personal favorites. Swing, go to a playground, swing on the swings. I don't steal it. I'm going to trademark it. But I did have an idea for a whole like Jane Fonda-esque style workout program called Swing Your Way to Fitness, where you just do exercises on the swings. So I'm going to do it. Going to manifest it. Have an impromptu dance party, right? 5 minutes, midday, just throw on your favorite music and, literally dance like no one's watching. Daydreaming, doodling, Halloween is coming up. I actually, sadly, have never dressed up for Halloween as an adult. I'm actually going to be at a wedding this Halloween, but next Halloween, it's my time to shine. And there's also, live action role playing. Maybe you get a group together and, make believe. Make a collage as well, do something creative. I also love to color in a coloring book. That's very calming and meditative for me as well. And then, yes, final resource here that I have for you. I have read this book. It's been, I think, quite transformative for many people's lives. This book by Julia Cameron called The Artist's Way. It takes you through, I think, a 12-week program where she gives you prompts and things to do each week to infuse more creativity, more playfulness back into your life, essentially like kind of uncovering your hidden artist, if you will. And I've just pulled out some prompts that were taken from this book. Two big things, the two overarching things that she recommends in this book is to write 3 pages a day, just stream of consciousness, okay? And the other thing is to take yourself on weekly artists dates, okay? And this, again, is essentially something that you do on your own. You don't have to tell anyone else about it. You schedule it, you block it. But essentially you do one thing every week that is novel, right? That's new to you. That's gonna, again, when we think of aging, essentially aging is stagnation. It's the lack of play. It's the decrease of neural pathways. So these artist dates and these writers pages are ways to keep the neuroplasticity of your brain, right? Which is going to keep you young in body and mind as you chronologically age. So yeah, write about 5 imaginary lives that you wish you could live. And then each week, like role play that life. Maybe you wanted to be a pilot. Maybe you find some place to do a pilot simulation or something. I've been wanting to go rock climbing. So, you watch Free Solo once and all of a sudden you want to climb a mountain. So again, like just using your imagination, tapping into, we have down here, it's like, if I were 20 years old and had money, I would blank, like list 5 adventures. Or if I retired and had money, I would, blank, list 5 postponed pleasures. Because we often think like, oh, well, play is just for the young, I'm too old. That time has passed. Or we think, oh, well, when I retire, I'm going to have all this time to be playful and creative. But again, meditation will teach you like this is the present, the time is now, because you can't bank on tomorrow. So I hope I hope some of this information has inspired you. These are my sources here. For more information, you can check out the National Institute for Play. Again, that's Dr. Stuart Brown's website that he created. And ending here with a quote by Robert Louis Stevenson, quote, "To know what you prefer, instead of humbly saying amen to what the world tells you you ought to prefer, is to have kept your soul alive." Okay. So we do have a couple of minutes here for any questions or comments. I will stop sharing my screen. Here we go. So yeah, feel free to chat in the box if there was one thing that resonated with you. Maybe you want to share what your artist date this week or this month is going to be. But yeah, if you have any feedback, I'd love to hear it. Otherwise, enjoy the rest of your day.